Hey all, so today we are joined with Abram, and we're going to start in Genesis 12, then we're going to go to 14. So we'll start in 12. I'm going to read one of the promises that God gave to Abram in Genesis 12, 2 through 3. I will make thee of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thee thy great name, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So then we're going to jump to Genesis 14, and what happens in Genesis 14 is you've got Abram, and you've got Lot, who is his nephew, but really like his brother, and they've made a different decision. As their tribes grew, they had to separate ways. Abram chose to go sort of live away from people and sort of build his tribe and his family, worshiping God and praying and listening to him. And then Lot decided to live at a place which was more like where he grew up, sort of close to this place called Sodom. He'd start by living outside of it, but then he'd find himself living in it by the time we get to 14. And here we see two different men, both who were following God, making some different decisions as to how they do their behavior. I think so often in this life we think, oh, well, we can just live among people and save them and talk to them. And that isn't really what we learn from Lot. We learn that there is just a different way that behavior affects us as we get affected. So as we come to 14, what we're going to find is there's going to be some kings that are fighting. Let me run through them real quick. And it came to pass in the days of Amphrael, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elsear, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with the other kings, Bera, king of Sodom, and Bersha of Gomorrah, Shinab of Adamah, and Shemibar of Zeboiim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. So these two sides are going to fight. There's going to be just a big battle, lots of slaughtering. And ultimately what's going to happen as we continue on in 14 is we're going to get to verse 11, and they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went away. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. So here we're going to find that as this promise of great nations, of blessing those who bless you, of cursing those who curse you, we're going to find that here Lot gets taken. And Abram may not see that as a blessing. He may see that as a curse, right? And so what happens next? And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshel, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. So, and when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, both in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. So even though Abram isn't a fighter himself, right, a warrior by nature, he's trained all these men to fight for him. And when he finds out that his brother is taken, he gets up to go get him, his nephew brother, right? To go get him and to go get him, right? Because this is the promise of God's people, right? When someone gets their way and they get lost, right, we don't just leave them, right? We have independence in faith, but we also have, not indifference. We still care about those that are walking their ways of life that are different than Christ, that are different than God and the Holy Spirit. We just don't live that way anymore. So it makes a different choice. So that's where Abram is really faced with this. He's going to go in and get Lot, but he's also living a different way. So God has provided for him in a way to do that. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them into Hobah, which is left in the left hand of Damascus. And he brought them all back the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and his people. So here, because Abram stays true to God, stays true to the promise of the nations, he has set up at a place where he can truly worship God and be separated. He's able to step in when there is a danger to Lot and to his people. He brings his own trained servants. They end up finding the victory, getting Lot back and bringing them all back. And then that allows us all to move forward in our path. And notice, if you know the story, I will say it isn't that Abram takes Lot and says, oh, you're going to stick with me from now on. He lets Lot go his way, and it ends up where it ends up. But that's the path of Christianity, of following Jesus Christ. We follow Jesus Christ. We don't seek to follow each other. We're servants of God, and we let the Holy Spirit lead us. And in this example of God's promise in Genesis from 12 to 14, we truly see Abram walking that path. All right, happy Sunday, chatting at Cheesman. Happy Sunday.